Welcome into NBA Now. I am Harrison Graham, Chase Sr. along for the ride as well. We've got the latest NBA news and rumors to get into, some injury updates as well. So stay tuned because there's a lot to jump into. How about this? We'll start with Kawhi Leonard. Is he going to re-sign with the Clippers after this season?
Look, this was the conversation before he signed with the Clippers. It was a short-term deal, and a lot of people didn't really know what his future was going to entail. He signed a short-term deal, so people threw out the possibility of, okay, Kawhi Leonard, it's a realistic possibility that he does leave to another team early. I don't think he leaves. He lives in San Diego. He flies from there to Los Angeles. It's a really good situation for him. He went to San Diego State. That's where he's from. I think he's comfortable in Los Angeles right now, but some people have thrown out this, maybe the Miami Heat, and Kawhi Leonard teaming up with Jimmy Butler. Those are two guys who I could see linking up together and having a lot of success with, and they would really enjoy playing with one another.
The chatter right now is that the expectation is that he would opt out after the season because he has a player option for next year, and then he will sign a new deal. But hey, what if the Clippers have an early exit again? What if they lose in the first or second round, which is not completely out of the realm of possibility? The West is very, very deep. Maybe Paul George struggles again in the playoffs. Maybe at that point Kawhi rethinks his situation at that point in time, Chase, but it'll certainly be one to follow. Here's the thing about Kawhi. Don't rule out anything with this guy.
Never.
Like, just when you think he's going to do one thing, he's going to do the other thing. So I'm with you. He did a lot to get to L.A. He forced his way out of San Antonio. He won that title with the Raptors and still signed with the Clippers. I think he'll stay there, but there's always a sliver of possibility that he could shock us all and end up heading elsewhere in NBA free agency.
We know what's realistic with NBA stars. They don't go to teams for long, and when they get disgruntled and they become unhappy, they will try to force their way out, or if there is light at the end of the tunnel where they could escape and leave that franchise, they will take the opportunity to do so. It could happen with Kawhi. Imagine after last year, it was an ugly end in the playoffs. They choked. They lost a 3-1 lead. If they lose again early in the playoffs this year, I could see it happening.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating situation to watch. I'll say this, it's an important playoff run for the Clippers coming up here in a couple of months. Will Kawhi and Paul George win a title with the LA Clippers? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll go ahead and make this the pinned comment on today's video. So get your thoughts on this one. Y for yes, N for no. Will Kawhi and PG-13 bring a title to LA? Now, today's show is presented by the Newsbreak app. Chase, I know you are a big fan of this product. Chat Sports has partnered up with these guys. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what Newsbreak is all about?
Yeah, so if you go to chatsports.com/newsbreak, download the Newsbreak app on your iPhone or your Android. The beauty of the Newsbreak app, you can get everything on one single feed. We're talking news, weather, pop culture, entertainment, food, everything that's kind of happening in your neighborhood. You type in your zip code, and everything is kind of aggregated on one single feed, and that's the great feature of this app. It offers so much, and for me, like, I'm a guy who obviously loves sports, but I have interests outside of sports. So how do I stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world, including my interests like music, food, entertainment? I just kind of organize it all in the Newsbreak app, and it's right there for me.
Here's what's great about the Newsbreak app, too. It's going to base it on your zip code, your city, and it's going to send you stories and updates on stuff going on in your community. Like Chase said, politics, news. They have a sports page as well. You can find videos from various Chat Sports channels also. Chatsports.com/Newsbreak. Go ahead and use that link and download the app today. Let's get into some Lakers news here by Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. LeBron James, we'll get to Anthony Davis in a moment, but could he be returning sooner rather than later, Chase? Let's explore this one.
Yeah, he's missed the past 10 games. He sprained his high right ankle a couple weeks ago against the Atlanta Hawks. Solomon Hill rolled up into him, and we know that LeBron James is a bionic man, so he can come back from any injury. Now, Frank Vogel did say that there's no update on a timeline as to when LeBron James is going to come back, but it's kind of an interesting scenario. Like, is he going to be able to come back before Anthony Davis, who we were talking before the show? He's missed the last 2 months
February
due to that
14th.
calf strain. I think if you're the Lakers, this is what you have to focus on. Don't focus on where you are in the Western Conference standings. focus on getting LeBron and AD back healthy, because when this team is at full strength, they're capable of winning a second straight NBA championship. There's no doubt.
Now, LeBron went LeBron on us and,
Yes.
posted something cryptic, as he has from time to time throughout his social media NBA career here. Do you have the exact reading there, the IG post?
I do. I thought Lakers fans were going to eat this up as soon as he said it. Obviously, it's LeBron and AD sitting on the scorer's table, cheering on their teammates. LeBron said, "The weatherman says the weather is changing soon, and it predicts a thunderstorm is coming. Folks, prepare and take the proper caution measures to be safe." So
what does that mean?
I think
Who
that
knows?
means who knows, but LeBron and AD, they're focused on getting back, and when they do, they plan on making a lot of noise.
I'll tell you what that means is that don't sleep on this team just because they've slipped in the standings. Once LeBron's healthy, once AD is healthy, this team has the pieces in place to make a run at another championship this year. And it obviously all starts with LeBron James. We'll expand on AD in just a few moments. I've actually been fairly impressed that the Lakers have kind of been about a 500 squad since LeBron went out 10 games ago. I think they're 4-6 over their last 10, which is not bad considering this was a team that missed the playoffs LeBron's first year when he got hurt. So stay afloat, get LeBron back and healthy, and this is still the team to beat in the Western Conference.
I think so too. Look, you can talk about the Phoenix Suns, you can talk about the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Denver Nuggets are climbing up the Western Conference standings. I think in a 7-game series, nobody matches up with the Lakers when they are at full strength. So even if they drop down to the 6th seed, and can you imagine, Harrison, if we get a Clippers-Lakers first-round series, or if they go to 7 or 8, I still think they're in a good spot.
If you want LeBron to return sooner rather than later, go ahead and like this video for us. Help us out. Just hit that thumbs up icon if you're ready for King James to return. And Chase was alluding to the Western Conference standings. The Lakers have slipped a little bit. Like, this is a competitive conference year in and year out, and that's true again this year. Look, if you're the Lakers, you're not catching the Jazz. You're probably not catching the Suns. Maybe you can get back up to the 3 or the 4 if AD or LeBron get back and healthy sooner rather than later. But to your point, the only thing the Lakers want to avoid is falling to 7 or below, because you don't want to get stuck in some who knows what could happen situation in that play-in situation in that 7-8 matchup, and then the loser of that has to win a game to secure a playoff spot. Stay in the top 6, get LeBron healthy, get AD healthy. Home court doesn't really matter this year anyway. I think the Lakers just need to focus on getting their 2 stars healthy, and that's why we will switch back to Anthony Davis. It does sound like Mark Stein hinted that the Lakers are hopeful, Chase, that after this current road trip, maybe Anthony Davis could make his return.
And it would be a huge boost to the lineup. What this would do, give LeBron James at 36 years old some more time to get healthy. And Anthony Davis hasn't played since mid-February. It's crazy how fast time has gone over the last couple of months and how the past year plus has kind of made us all lose the kind of feeling of time. But if he's able to come back and you have him and Andre Drummond in the front court, and then guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope continue to play well. He put up almost 30 points last night. If Kyle Kuzma continues to play the way that he's been playing.
Andre Drummond had a nice game.
Andre Drummond did play well last night. Montrezl Harrell has been really good since Anthony Davis has gone out. You're looking at a team, including Ben McLemore, who also played last night, that with Anthony Davis, a little bit better, a little bit deeper.
And the note there was that maybe he could return after the road trip. Okay, April 15th. That's probably the first game he could make his return against the Celtics. Hopefully against the Jazz, at least. He could play in that game. That'd be a good measuring stick to see where the Lakers are at that point in time. But we know what AD brings to this team. We saw it last year in the playoffs. He came up big and was that, true number 2 sidekick to LeBron James that they brought him in for. That's why they traded for him. That's why they sent a bunch of young assets for Anthony Davis, because he wanted to pair him with LeBron James and for that duo to be the reason why this team can chase championships once again.
This is what I'd like. This would be totally ideal if I'm Frank Vogel. AD, maybe you come back mid-April, right? Like you said. LeBron, take your time getting back healthy. But if you can give us like 10 games, 15 games at the end of the regular season to get the wheels in motion. You throw some WD-40 on there a little bit, and this team is able to kind of get some momentum going and get a feel for one another with some of the new parts like Drummond, like McLemore. That would be totally ideal if I'm Frank Vogel.
So what do you guys think? Who returns first? Type LBJ for LeBron James, type AD for Anthony Davis. Seems like AD, but you can't ever count out the king. Go ahead and get your votes in. Let's talk some Golden State Warriors rumors here on Chat Sports. Chase and Harrison with you. How about Kristaps Porzingis? This trade rumor is recirculating. There was some buzz around him back in February. Oh, maybe the Mavs are going to trade him. Maybe the Warriors could make some sense. Well, now there's a report coming out that the Warriors may take a swing at him this offseason, which would be very fascinating, Chase.
According to an anonymous NBA executive, the Dallas Mavericks were shopping Kristaps Porzingis around and leading up to the NBA trade deadline.
By the way, a lot of conflicting reports there.
A lot of conflicting reports. But this is what you do know. Kristaps Porzingis, when he's healthy, really, really good player. And I know he's dealt with a lot of injury concerns throughout his career, especially with his lower body. And for a guy who's 7+ feet tall, that never
it's always going to be a concern.
Good thing, right?
Yep.
But I will say this. I think the Warriors, they, at the NBA trade deadline, kind of punted a little bit, right? So I think they're looking ahead to next year, and maybe Kristaps Porzingis could be the guy that they're looking at next year when Klay Thompson comes back to get the crew back together, couple of additions, and make a run at another NBA title.
It's interesting to think about. I will say that's really on both sides of the thing. One's for Dallas, who sent a lot of draft capital to the Knicks, a couple of first-round picks to bring him in here, but also Golden State. That would be kind of a different type of piece than what they've been used to during, this championship stretch. Obviously, the last year and a half, injuries have taken them out of that, but they were, guard. We're just going to shoot you out of the gym. Now, KP can shoot, but you get a legit 7-footer in there who can protect the rim as well as run the floor. That gives them a different look offensively, which is very, very fascinating in my opinion. Here's what that anonymous executive had to say. The Mavericks are more than open to trading Kristaps Porzingis. They listened to a lot of offers ahead of the deadline, and he will be available this offseason for the right price as well. A team like the Golden State Warriors, who showed interest in him at the deadline, are expected to continue that pursuit this offseason. That would be interesting if that is actually true. I'm not convinced the Mavs heavily shopped him, but I think this playoff run will tell a lot if KP can stay healthy or a lot. I think it became pretty obvious, and to your point, is that the Warriors, they just kind of sold at the deadline. They didn't end up buying.
Yeah, over the last several months, think about the players that the Warriors were tied to. We're talking Bradley Beal. We're talking Aaron Gordon, Kristaps Porzingis. There were a lot of rumors out there that they were going to trade Kelly Oubre. They didn't. They traded away Bradley Wanamaker and Marquise Chris. Those were the only moves that the Warriors made on NBA trade deadline day. And for a team that's been under 500 or hovering around 500, by them not making a move, I think Bob Myers told everybody, we're selling.
Yep.
Now, it wasn't a blatant sell, but I do think the Warriors secretly sold at the NBA trade deadline because they look at the roster right now. They see Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and a bunch of other dudes. James Wiseman is going to be good eventually, but we need another piece.
Yep.
And by not going out to acquire one of those other pieces, I think Bob Myers realized the roster simply is not good enough. You get Klay Thompson back with Steph and Draymond, and you add a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, you're in that conversation once again.
I truly believe, I don't know if KP will be the guy, but Golden State is going to be hyper-aggressive this offseason. If they get a good bill of health from Klay and feel good about him going into next year, look for them to make a big move. Maybe they move a guy like Andrew Wiggins in that Timberwolves pick, which is a very, very valuable, especially with this the next couple of drafts. Should the Warriors trade for Kristaps Porzingis this offseason? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Go ahead and get your votes in on that one. If healthy, Kristaps is the guy they would be getting. This is a legitimate 20-10 guy who has unlimited range. He can score everywhere on the floor, Chase. He's a good rim protector as well. You pair him with those guards and wings like Steph and Klay, and maybe Draymond still sticks around as well. That's an interesting 3 or 4 player rotation right there.
Yeah, and piggybacking off the point that you made earlier, the Warriors have been so guard-centric, and I'm going to throw Kevin Durant in that category too because, he's a small forward, but he plays like a 7-foot guard. They, other than DeMarcus Cousins, haven't had a superstar big, and DeMarcus Cousins wasn't that guy. So you think about Porzingis and adding him to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, that is a fascinating dynamic because they haven't had a guy who can stretch the floor but also play down low like Porzingis. And I like the wrinkle that he gives to this team. My question would be, where does that leave James Wiseman? Or is James Wiseman the piece that you move for KP?
It could either be that, or it could be Porzingis plays some 4. He likes playing 4. He's played it in the past. I think in today's game he's better suited as a stretch 5, just because that's where the league is
He's
going.
difficult to guard there.
But you could mix and match there. Maybe Wiseman is a 26 minutes off the bench energy type of guy, and we know with Porzingis, if you get him, there's going to be load management there. That's just the way that's going to go. So I think you can mix and match. I would trust Steve Kerr to figure out how to do that. This will be something to monitor this offseason. Even if it's not Porzingis, I really do believe that Bob Myers, Steve Kerr, and this roster, knowing that Steph's getting another year older, they're going to be really, really aggressive in trying to upgrade this roster this offseason. They sold at the deadline. They basically said, we're not good enough right now. We get Clay healthy, get a guy like KP in here, we could chase a title in 2022.